Beyond Health community. This is Dr. Justin Curnutt bringing in a brand new year, 2024. How exciting. So today I wanted to address one of the biggest questions that I get at the beginning of every year. And I'm going to kind of go through this same question throughout the first few topics that we go through throughout this year in these YouTube lives or podcasts or Facebook lives, whatever they might be. And that is, what are the best things I can do for health? Okay, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of things you can do. Some cost a lot of money, some don't, right? So let's distill the nonsense, right? So this is what I call, there are essentially some basics to health, like straight up, okay? Easiest things you can do for health, and I'm going to cover a few of those things that you can do today for optimal health, okay? 2024 is going to be a fantastic year, especially for some optimal health. So, if you guys hang out to the end, I've got actually a really cool trick, strategy, I don't know what you want to call it, tip on how to boost your longevity through science, a science-based strategy to help boost your telomere length. So if you don't know what telomeres are, just know that telomeres equal the longer your telomere is, and that's a part of your cell. So I'm not talking about other things, but the longer your telomeres are, the longer your life will be. Assuming there's no, fatal cause of mortality, right? This is assuming longevity and natural causes. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a trick on how to lengthen your telomeres, which will lengthen your life. So let's jump right into it. As usual, if you're listening to this, you might have to slow it down a little bit. It's like taking a sip out of a fire hose. Make sure you always have a pen and a paper, or pencil and paper, to take notes so that you only have to listen to this once. There's a lot of strategies, a lot of useful tips and tricks and information that I'm going to give throughout this entire presentation. So I hope it's going to be jam-packed, and it will be. So, top things you can do for optimal health. There's the first thing that we need to cover for optimal health, and that is the maintenance list of health. Okay, so I don't like to say that everyone is a boot fit all. I hate boot fit all recommendations. Okay, everyone needs berberine and glutathione. Okay, I don't think that. However, with that being said, over the years, I found that there is a maintenance list, a small set of things that everyone needs because we're lacking them through our diet, our nutrition, and our lifestyle, okay? Number one, and I've only got two of them here, but number one is going to be your multivite, okay? So this is Beyond Health's multivite. I have it here to remind me. So a multivitamin is the first thing that we need to cover for optimal health. If you're doing some of these crazier formulations, glutathione, holy basil, rhodiola, ashwagandha, turmeric, curcumin, any of those things, that's cool. You're really not going to hurt yourself. However, you're not going to do the benefit you need if you're not doing the basics. So make sure you're doing a good multivitamin, okay? The broccoli that our parents and our grandparents ate in the 70s and the broccoli of today, they've compared the nutritional content out of some of the key nutrients, and we're getting only 8 to 14% of the nutrients and the vitamins that we were if we were to have broccoli from the 70s. So that's dismal. So if we were alive even 20 years ago, I would have said, eat a better diet. Or if I was around talking to you 20 years ago, I'd say eat a better diet, and you might not need to take a multivitamin. You could probably just pass on it. Problem is this day and age, with the rapid growth of food, we just can't get the content. Now, another thing that's causing our nutrition to lack is the pesticides they're using. Okay, I don't know if you know what genetically modified means, but a GMO, right? So that's why you'll see things. So, for example, our multivitamin touts non-GMO. Here, let's go over here. Our multivitamin touts non-GMO. Boom, right there. You guys see that beautiful label? Okay, so non-GMO. A genetically modified organism is basically this, okay? They've taken the genetic makeup of a plant, and they've spliced into the gene a pesticide, okay? And that pesticide basically deters bugs from eating it, okay? So a locust or a grasshopper will land on a GMO corn, and they won't even eat it because it has pesticides in it. Now, that pesticide snip that they put into it also, they can spray it, and it basically is resistant against it as well. So there's multiple ways that it can be done. However, when we get that GMO inside of us, okay, think of a pesticide. Anything that's pesticide related is kind of like an antibiotic. Okay, it kills things. Okay, an antibiotic will kill our microbiome, our gut. Okay, but an antibiotic will also kill other cells in the body. Okay, a pesticide will kill a bug, whether it's on a plant, or a bug, whether it's in your body. Okay, like your bacteria or bugs. Okay, so we're getting pesticides in our body that are killing our gut, being absorbed into our body improperly, and then our body's creating basically white blood cells and ramping up the immune system against it because it looks like a foreign invader. So partially this is some of the reasons why autoimmune disease is off the charts, going up and up and up, is because of genetically modified foods. Okay, another thing, our meat industry, okay? Our meat industry is basically giving cows and chickens antibiotics, okay? For two purposes. One, because they're in living conditions that are so close and so compact and so dirty that they need to give it to them to stay, I don't want to say healthy, but stay not sick, okay? If that makes sense. But they're also giving it to them to fatten them up, okay? Do you know anyone that's autistic, okay? Like a young... I've got a few friends that have autistic children, and they're bigger than the normal person. Have you ever noticed that? So, for example, one of my friends has maybe a 12 or 13, maybe a 10 or 12-year-old autistic child, and he's huge. He's easily, 5'6", 5'8", and he's just a big kid. He's a tank of a kid. And long story short, part of the reason they're so big is because they have a gut that's not working properly, okay? So what they learned from kids like him is that if we can cause what's called dysbiosis in animals, they'll grow faster, okay? So in addition to giving cows and chickens and all these things antibiotics to keep them not sick, it makes them have a gut dysbiosis, which makes them grow faster and fatter, and they can have more meat. It's like mass raising our animals, okay? So when we slaughter them and take them to market, we're eating them, and then we're getting the antibiotics that are inside of them, and it's killing our gut as well because of the antibiotics are killing our microbiome. So you guys, it wouldn't matter how good we're eating, we still need a multivitamin, okay? We still need a multivitamin. And I'm going to kind of caution you right here, okay? You have to vet a good multivitamin. I'm going to go through a series, what I call the ABCs of multivitamins, okay? How to vet a good multivitamin. I don't care that you use ours. I don't. I just know that I can count on ours if there's ever a question on which one you should use. I don't know about other companies. I can look into it. I was a sourcing pharmacist for many years, a sourcing a wellness coach, I guess, where I'd source products. I didn't do this as a pharmacist in a retail pharmacy, but I did this at my wellness center. And I'm going to go through the ABCs of how to vet a multivitamin, okay? A stands for absorption, B stands for bioavailability, C stands for conflictions, basically things that counteract each other, right? Certain vitamins don't allow the other one to absorb very well. You shouldn't take them at the same time. So conflicting vitamins, I think, and ABC, and then S stands for synergy. So I'm going to go through how to vet a good multivitamin, and I'm going to show you why this multivitamin has 32 plus nutrients, vitamins, and minerals inside of it is a quality, top-notch product. For example, the B vitamins are all in the methyl forms. everything's in a form that will absorb into the body. It's not cheap products. We source it all correctly. We know what we're getting every time we produce and create one of these products. So I love it. So number one is a good multivitamin. I will go through more on those as the year progresses. Number two, two thing that I think everyone needs. Oh, I can pull it up here. It's called an essential fatty acid. Now, this is what we call Beyond Health's EFA formula. However, the one that's even better than this formula, the one that I'm just quit. The one that's even better than this formula is actually our fish oil formula. Okay, Beyond Health's fish oil formula. Now, essential fatty acids is just what it sounds like. It's a fatty acid. It's a fat that is introduced in our body that's essential for our health, wellness, and optimization. So essential means that our body does not produce it. Okay, there are amino acids, for example, that our body can make, and then there are what's called essential amino acids that our body needs to get from some other source: food, vitamins, minerals, etc. So this essential fatty acids are absolutely pinnacle and key for optimal health and wellness. And I'm going to tell you why, okay? Two main reasons why this is the case. Number one, our brain by dry weight is about 60 to 70% fat. So basically, if I were to to pull your brain out and dry it up, it would be 60 to 70% fat. Okay, so a lot of doctors will try to scare you that fat is bad, cholesterol, fat, right? They kind of lump those two terms, triglycerides, they lump all these things together. And in reality, our body needs fat, not the bad fat, but the good fat, the essential good fatty acids, okay? So there's what we call omega-3s, omega-6s, and omega-9s, okay? Long story short, omega-6s and 9s typically come from plants, and omega-3s typically come from fish, animal sources. And so if you're a vegan or vegetarian, I would still suggest that you need a very high-quality omega-3, and I'm going to tell you why. There's two things that make a fish oil work fantastically, okay? So if you were to pull your bottle up, you spin it to the side, and you're looking at it, okay, omega-3 fatty acids have two components that make them good. So the front of this may say 1,000 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acid per serving or whatever, right? Okay, but when you spin this, you should be able to determine how much of that comes. So the way I explain this is there's three kinds of omega-3 fatty acids, three kinds of fish oils, if you want to think of this, okay? There's EPA, okay, is one. There's DHA, which is the second one. And then there is what I just call crap oil, okay? So the crap oil, I suppose you can think of like wringing out a fish and getting the oil off, okay? There's crap oil that no one's determined what percentage of goodness is in there, what percentage of fatty acid is which, okay? Then there's good companies that will give you a quantity of EPA, what we call icosapentaenoic acid, I believe, something like that. Icohexapentaenoic acid, EPA, I'll say. And then DHA, which is dexahexapentaenoic acid, something like that. What do we call DHA? Okay, and what you want to do is add up the EPA and the DHA, and it should give you 1,000 milligrams. So if it touts on the front 1,000 milligrams of essential omega-3 fatty acids, then you should be able to add up the EPA and the DHA, and it should equal over 1,000. Now, some companies that produce fish oil will actually produce a supplement that you look at the EPA, it says fish oil, 1,000 milligrams, it'll say EPA, DHA, and it'll just have stars, it'll have asterisks, okay? And what that means is they haven't determined the percentage of EPA and DHA in it. So they're giving you 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, it's probably true, of the crap oil. They don't know. But what you want to make sure is you have 1,000 milligrams of EPA plus DHA. It doesn't matter in what split, unless you're worried. Now, let me tell you what EPA and DHA do, and then you can determine which split of fish oil you need, okay? So we've got EPA is what we call shoulders down health, okay? Shoulders down health. Now, shoulders down is going to be like cholesterol reduction, heart health, inflammation reduction, and blood support, like things like that, right? So EPA is what we call shoulders down. Now, DHA is what we call shoulders up, or the brain, okay? DHA is the fat that our brain uses, okay? So if you've got any kind of anxiety or depression or schizophrenia, anxiety disorders, autism, or ADD or ADHD, your brain is basically hungry, okay? Think of your stomach when it's hungry. It growls and it tells you what's up, right? It tells you, oh my gosh, I hurt. I'm hungry. Your brain doesn't have receptors for pain or for gurgling, right? So you don't know that your brain is hungry. The only way that you know your brain is hungry is by your mood, okay? You just, if you think I'm gonna go out with friends and you go, right? If you think anxiety over something that shouldn't be anxious, then your brain might need food. Okay, isn't that a novel idea? So if that's you, then focus on a fish oil or an essential fatty acid supplement that has a bunch of DHA, which is shoulders up, brain health. So they do make fish oil products on the market that have 1,000 milligrams of DHA. Okay, phenomenal supplement. Personal story. There was so let me give you a dosage range first, okay? Multivitamins are a little bit different because everyone's a little bit different, so it's hard to say. Our multivitamin, 1 tablet morning and evening with your food, okay? Taken with food. Now, as a caveat, I'm going to digress for just a moment, and then I'm going to tell you this story, okay? If you do not have a gallbladder, okay, over 2/3, 2/3 of Americans right now are having gallbladder issues and are basically being recommended to take their gallbladders out. 2/3 of Americans. Now, 1/3 of Americans actually have their gallbladders out. So what does that mean? We're all having gallbladder issues, okay? Now, I would suggest you never remove it unless it's very dire. If you ever need like I can bring it back in 3 to 5 days, 7 days tops. Like if you guys ever have issues with gallbladder, please come to me. Now, if you have a gallbladder removed or it's working improperly, you know this, then reach out to me and I'll give you the answer on how to take a multivitamin most effectively without a gallbladder. And I'll explain that down the road. You need the bile that your gallbladder held in order for optimal health. You need bile to break down fat-soluble vitamins, the A, the D, the E, the K, the vitamins that are in a multivitamin. If you don't have a gallbladder, you're actually harming yourself. So again, okay, said. Now, if you don't have a gallbladder as well, please reach out to me as well, because an essential fatty acid, anything fatty, bile is needed to break it open and get that wonderful nutrition out of it. So even if you don't have a gallbladder or a poorly functioning gallbladder, please reach out to me, and I'll give you that answer, or if you follow me in the next few months, I'm sure I'll give you the answer anyways. Dr. C at beyondhealth.com, DRC at beyondhealth.com, email me. Okay, so that's that. I was going into that because I was giving a recommendation. 1 tablet morning and evening with food, because we need fat in order to help it absorb properly, and then we need a gallbladder in order to help get it the rest of the way. Okay, now, story time. Really good friend of mine came in and said, I'm fed up with the medical system. I've been to every doctor possible. My child was normal. My child was functioning, probably an 11, 12-year-old child. And the child ended up reverting to a corner, to just sitting in a corner and staring in the corner all day. Not verbal, non-communicative, wouldn't look people in the eyes. And I went through a big questionnaire on what could have caused it. Okay, there are things that can cause things like that and whatnot. Anyways, in the end, I basically gave them a recommendation for how to take fish oil. Okay, omega-3 fatty acids with a focus on DHA. Okay, a child that goes to the corner and reverts to nothing, something's wrong with the brain. So I explained the science to the parents, and I said, if you can do this, here's what could happen, let's try it. And they said, you know what, we've tried the medical system, we've tried medicine, we've tried everything there is, what do we have to lose? So, as a dosage, I'll give you the dosage, and then I'll finish the story, okay? As a dosage, if you just want wellness, just to stay at peak health, you're going to want between 1,000 and 3,000 milligrams per day of omega-3 fatty acids, EPA plus DHA. Doesn't matter what that ratio is. It could be 50-50. It could be 500 milligrams EPA, 500 milligrams DHA. That equals 1,000. Or you could do, 1,500 milligrams EPA, 1,500 milligrams DHA, all the way up to 3,000, okay? And that's what we call a wellness dose, okay? A wellness dose. That's going to keep you healthy. It's going to keep the brain happy. I'm going to tell you one other thing that fish oils do for optimal health, and it does this as well. So 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams for optimal health. Now, if you're trying to get to some grittier things, you're looking for a therapeutic dose to kind of treat some stuff, whatever that might be. I'm not your doctor. Please go to your doctor and ask him if you so choose to implement any of these strategies. These are just anyways. 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams of fish oil per day in any split, any combination of those two. Again, go to the side of the bottle and read how much is there. EPA plus DHA equals the number. 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams per day of omega-3 fatty acid fish oil. And that is for therapeutic doses. So again, if you have issues with the shoulders down, heart, cholesterol, blood vessels, inflammation, you want a main focus on EPA. You'll never be able to get 100% of either, so don't look for that. Just look for the majority being EPA. Now, if you're looking for brain health, okay, Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, autism, ADD, I mean, things like that, then you're looking for the DHA component. Make sure you're higher amounts of DHA than you are EPA. So, 1,000 to 3,000 for wellness, 3,000, 6,000 for, therapeutic doses. So I typically try to keep around 3,000 milligrams for myself. It's kind of at the bottom end of therapeutic and the high end of wellness, and I love it. So one of the other things that fish oil does, and then I'll get back to the story, I'll finish that story off, is every cell in our body is lined with a lipid layer, a fat cell. It's a fat layer, and think of that. It's fat. Okay, fat. You need fat. You need cholesterol. You need again good cholesterol or good fat in order for the body to function properly. So now this isn't cholesterol. I don't mean to make that sound like it's cholesterol, but the fat is utilized in our body. Now every cell is wrapped with this, and we have trillions of cells. Actually millions of cells. I don't know an exact number, but we have millions of cells in our body. Okay, we have trillions of microbiome cells, which outnumber our body 10 to 1. So I'd venture to say millions, billions. I don't know. A lot of fat is needed to surround every cell of our body. Now, things like viruses, things like bacterial infections they have to attach themselves to the cell and then suck themselves through. Basically, you have to get to the inside of a cell in order to hijack the body. So think of COVID-19. Okay, COVID has to attach to the outside of a cell. Right here, this is my microphone. Attaches to the outside of the cell and has to hijack it in order to make copies of itself. Viruses cannot replicate on their own. They have to hijack our own body. But if that cell membrane is fatty and beautiful and solid and thick, then COVID-19, or any virus for that matter, has a harder time penetrating that cell. Therefore, makes you healthier and just you're just healthier, optimal health, right? So essential fatty acids are crucial for every cell of our body to make sure that the membranes are healthy and happy. Okay, does that make sense? So back to this kid. So this 11, 12-year-old reverted to the corner. I told the parents, DHA, focus on DHA, and you want between 3,000 and 6,000 milligrams per day. Okay, so they did it. They said, we'll try anything. We tried it. We looked at the science that you gave us. We feel that it won't harm our child. You know, we haven't necessarily talked to our doctor, but that's our choice. Okay, great. So they started this kid on 6,000 milligrams of fish oil per day. Okay, in divided doses, not all in once. Okay, within, I would say, 5 to 7 days, the kid was out of the corner. The kid was eating with the family. The kid was playing games with the family. The kid was socializing. The kid was maybe not back to full normal, but the kid was back to, say, 80, 90%. Okay? This is according to the parents. I even saw the kid. Kid came in. And vast improvement. I mean, with the focus on DHA, the brain. Okay? So, fast forward a little bit. And they quit coming in. And I heard this from a friend because, I don't know, I guess when people jump off of the wellness bandwagon, they, I don't know, sometimes I guess they I don't know. So let me tell you a story. So, about 2 months later, they just fell off the bandwagon, quit coming in. I sent them emails, I sent them letters. I asked them, how is things going, man? How is your child doing? No response, kind of got ghosted. And what ended up happening was they went to their doctor and they said, look at our child. The doctor said, wow, that is fantastic. It must have been the medicine that we put him on. And the parents said, actually, we didn't start the medicine that you told us to. We put him on fish oil. And the doctor said, oh, well, how much fish oil? And they told him up to 6,000 milligrams per day. And the doctor freaked out. He said, you're going to kill your child. This is absurd. Oh my gosh, this is the worst thing. Oh my gosh, this kid, you better get him off right now. And you better change everything right away. Okay? So they did. They were so scared into, that this pharmacist kid, not in a wellness center, was telling them to do this dangerous thing, which, again, I showed them the science. I didn't tell them to do it. I just said, this is what science suggests. And I would say within that same time period, within 5 to 7 days, the kid was back to a corner once he was put on the medication that the doctor recommended. The kid still hasn't come out of it, and the parents have just accepted that the kid has some form of autism or something like that. And it's sad to me because the proof is in the pudding. They saw it. They saw the change. Now, whether it helped them on a DHA level in the brain or whether it helped him on a cellular level, something was attacking his cells and he couldn't function, he or she, I don't want to go into who or whom, but attacking the cells, and maybe that's what's causing them to not function properly. I don't know. I don't care because fish oil is essential and it's just crazy. So long story short, 1 to 3,000. Now, as a precaution, if a fish oil makes you burp fishiness, like if you take it and then like a few hours later you're like burping up fish, it's a rancid product. Stop taking it, okay? There's only 2 products on the planet that I've ever taken that haven't been fishy burps. Even there's a prescription fish oil on the market called Lovaza. Even it causes fishy burps, and they just say it's a normal side effect. It's actually a rancid product. So long story short, this is one of the products that, or the fish oil formula from Beyond Health. It's kept in a fridge. That's why I don't have it out, because it's in my fridge and I'd have to go get it. Anyways, I forgot to get it. So does that make sense? So number 1 thing you can do for optimal health that everyone needs, boot fit all, because, and I hate that word, but it's true, a multivitamin. Number 2 is a fish oil. Okay. Our supplement, multivitamin, 1 twice a day with food. Fish oil, same thing. You can divide the doses 1 to 3,000 milligrams or 3 to 5,000 milligrams, or 3 to 6,000 milligrams per day, depending on how you want wellness or therapeutic. Divided into, 2 to 3 doses taken with meals. Okay. Third thing I think everyone needs. Now, the maintenance list stops at 3. However, over the last few years, there's a consensus I have to add a 4th and a 5th. Now, I'll tell you about 4 and 5. Hopefully, real quick. I know we're already getting into some time. I don't know how to see how long I've been going, but I should figure it out soon. So, third thing I think everyone needs is a good probiotic. Okay, a good probiotic. Now, I already delved into some of the reasons why probiotics are so important. Okay, we are trillions of cells in our gut. Okay, and if our microbiome, our gut bacteria is what microbiome means. If our microbiome goes awry, then our health goes awry, okay? There's, I was actually finishing up a summit this past week on Alzheimer's and brain health with relation to gut health, okay? There's a few things that people don't realize, okay? If you have an autoimmune issue or any kind of immunity issue, you're sick all the time, it directly goes to the gut. Did you know that over 80% of your immune system is in your gut, okay? Your gut, okay, also makes over 80% of the serotonin that your brain needs. Okay, there's one big nerve that they found now that ties the brain to the gut, and that's what we call the vagus nerve. VAGUS, not like Las Vegas nerve. It's the VAGUS nerve, the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is one of the biggest nerves of our body. So check this out. If we have an imbalance, a dysbiosis means an imbalance in our gut. If we have a dysbiosis in our gut, okay, say we're full of candida, okay, candida is a yeast that will infiltrate people's guts and cause them to crave sugar, carbohydrates and sugar, okay? So you get an imbalance of candida, okay? So it's January 1. Today's actually January 2. But it's a new year, right? I'm going to start my diet today. I'm strong. I'm fixed. I'm resolute, right? So you say, here, I am strong. I will not eat that Twinkie. Whatever your passion is. Twinkie, cake, cookies, pasta, whatever. Breads, okay? So you're telling your gut, I will not eat that, okay? And for a while, that one nerve that you're setting down that vagus pathway says, I will not eat that, okay? But our gut dominates this vagus nerve 10 to 1. So for every one signal that our brain sends to our gut, the vagus nerve actually sends 10 impulses back to the brain. So if there's a dysbiosis, if we're overrun with bad stuff, our brain says, no, I will not eat that. And our gut says 10 times, yes, no, yes, no. So eventually your will breaks down because we're only sending one impulse and our gut is sending 10 to everyone we send saying yes. So you may have the strongest willpower in the world, but until we clean up the dysbiosis in the gut, until we fix that, your willpower may be shot. Okay, your ability to lose weight may not matter. Okay, isn't that so cool? Like that we could just fix the gut and boom, we're out. Okay, depression and anxiety. Okay, if you go to the doctor and you get a medication, you may get something like a Prozac or some kind of antidepressant medication. I don't want to throw any under the bus, but Prozac's one of the most widely known antidepressants on the market. Okay, so you go to the doctor. Doctor's like, bam, you need a serotonin, what's called an SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. Okay, what that means is so their theory. Now I'm just throwing this out there. Their theory is that it's a lack of serotonin in the brain that's causing depression and anxiety. They found that this is true. So what they do is there's certain things that break serotonin down. So serotonin gets released in the brain, it's there for a little while, and then something breaks it down, almost like, think of a Pac-Man, right? It's going through and it's boop, 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 it's gobbling it up. So the more Pac-men or Pac-women there are, I don't know how diverse you are in that, the more Pac people there are eating up the serotonin, the faster our serotonin gets diminished, depleted, and then we're back to feeling depressed again or anxious or whatever, okay? So an SSRI, something like a Prozac or an antidepressant of some sort, is what we call a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. It inhibits these Pac-Men and basically causes your serotonin to sit there longer. Okay, it's kind of a trick. Now, the answer isn't to stop the things that gobble it up. The trick is to fix serotonin at its root, i.e. the gut. 80% of our serotonin is made in our gut. So why wouldn't we just fix the gut rather than giving you a pill? Oh, because doctors love to focus on the doctors love to focus on the symptom, not the actual root, okay? It's what they like to focus on the smoke, but not the fire, right? So if a house is burned down, doctors are focusing on the smoke, and what my root cause resolution to do is to help you overcome the fire, help you overcome the root cause. So, so a probiotic is absolutely needed because we're not eating a diversified food anymore. Our foods are very monotonal, right? They're one color, right? We go to the store, we eat salad, right? We don't eat salad with all sorts of other stuff in it, okra and artichokes and spinach and right? We just eat like an iceberg lettuce and some salad dressing, right? We don't get the carrots, we don't get the legumes in with it, we don't get beans or peas or sprouts, we don't get all sorts of other things, okay? And so our gut just isn't very diversified when it comes to the amount of probiotics we're getting in it. Now, in addition to that, I mean, the other food we're eating, again, the antibiotics in our meats are obliterating our gut. The pesticides in our vegetables and fruits and things like that are obliterating it as well. So there's just multiple reasons why we need an exterior source, okay? Now, I didn't get the probiotic as well because it's in the fridge, but our probiotic is phenomenal, okay? When looking at a probiotic, you want to make sure there are at least 10 strains, okay, in a good probiotic. You want to make sure it's a diversified. 10 strains isn't necessarily the most diverse, However, it is more diversified than I'd say, 60% of probiotics on the market. Something else you want to make sure is that they're either in the correct strain or they're in an enteric coated formulation to get through the acid of the gut. Okay, that's number two. Number three, you want to make sure that it's in the billions and not in the millions. Okay, because we are trillions of bacteria in the gut, we need to make sure that we're providing billions of probiotics to our gut. Now, if you're smart, there's two ways you can do this. You can either have a probiotic with a prebiotic in it. Now, a prebiotic is food for the probiotic. I'll explain this in just a second. Or if your supplement doesn't have a prebiotic in it, because it doesn't have a prebiotic doesn't mean it's not a good formulation. You could do something like this. So this is a dietary fiber. Okay, dietary fiber is prebiotic, and actually on the side of it, I believe it says dextran FOS, what's called fructooligosaccharides, so short chain prebiotics. So fiber is technically a prebiotic. Okay, when we eat grapes, we don't actually digest the skins. Okay, but our bacteria in our gut eat those up, and then they convert that into goodness. So we need to feed the probiotics in order to keep them alive and keep them around. So probiotics are relate to kind of like an army. Okay, if we were to go fight, I'm going to say Canada, United States and Canada. It'll never happen because, I don't know, it just won't. But just say we were to go fight Canada, okay? One, we wouldn't want to send our troops there without food. So if we dropped off, just say like a probiotic, we dropped off 5 billion troops. Now that's a lot of troops. Let's make it more realistic. We drop off 5 million troops, okay? We drop them off right on the border with no food, okay? How effective are they going to fight a war for us? They're not, okay? They're probably going to have to, 50% of you go look for food to feed us every day, and 50% of you go fight the war. Maybe more, maybe less. I don't know, okay? So the idea is that you want to drop the troops off with food. If you said, troops, here you go. We're going to leave you here on the border with a year's supply of food, right? They would be able to fight for a whole year, no problem, not even having to worry about food. That's what a prebiotic is for our probiotics, or that's what fiber is. Now, if you can get fiber through food, great, or you can get fiber through something like this, or your probiotic has a prebiotic, that's food for the troops, okay? Number one. Number two, the amount of strains that are in it are like troops as well, okay? If we drop off just one type of troop, we drop off a communication specialist troop, okay? We say, okay, we're going to drop off 5 million of you. Just communication specialists, nobody else. No bombers, Green Berets. We don't drop off any tanks, tank people. We don't drop off any mortar people. We don't drop off any airplane people, right? Navy, right? Whatever those names are. I apologize. I don't know all the names. But if we don't drop off a very diverse set of troops, then we're going to fail. If we only drop off one, even if we dropped off front line, the people that actually walk in and like, I don't know, front linemen. I don't know what they're called. If we just drop off all front linemen, we're going to lose. If we dropped off all tanks, we're going to lose. If we dropped off all planes, we're going to lose. Okay, we need a diverse set of skills. We need the communication expert. We need the tank people, the artillery people, the front line people, the air strike people, the bombers, right? We need the Green Berets, the Navy SEALs, right? All these things. We need a diverse strain. So to have more strains is better. So when you look at the side of a probiotic, you want more of strains, more difference in functioning. Last thing is you want quantity. Would it be better to drop off 5 million troops at the border if we're having a war, or 5 billion troops at the border, right? So the more the merrier, okay? So those are all reasons why we want those things. Okay. And to make sure they get through the acidity of the gut, I guess it would be like if there was a lava flow they all had to walk through before they got to the spot they needed to fight, then they could all make it through unscathed, right? So we want to make sure it gets through the digestive tract before it can fight and be a good probiotic strain for us on the other side. Okay, long story short. Okay, so 3 things. A good multivite, a good essential fatty acid, depending on your dosing. I've already given that to you. And then a good probiotic. Probiotic, I typically take I take more than I should because the gut you just can't go wrong with. So I typically take 1 to 2 a.m. and then 1 to 2 in the p.m. I typically try to get about 5 billion each side of that. So 5 billion per. So I guess I get 10 billion in the morning and 10 billion at night. That's still not a lot. Sometimes I take more, sometimes I take less. There's if you finish an antibiotic, then you need more because after an antibiotic, basically your body, it's a tug of war. Okay, what's gonna dominate first, the good guys or the bad guys? So after an antibiotic is done, we want to make sure to give yourself a high dose of probiotics in order to beat out the bad guys fast and then repopulate with good stuff. I've even had people do it in various forms to make sure it got there quicker, faster, better. If you have issues with that, please reach out to me, Dr. C at beyondhealth.com, drc at beyondhealth.com. Okay, last two things. I'm going to go through these kind of quickly. Last two things I think everybody needs is a vitamin D and a magnesium. Vitamin D, we're just not getting the sun we used to. Even people on the sun belt that I consult, counsel, and help with health are very low in vitamin D. And if they're low, being on the sun belt, being right where the sun is penetrating best, where you can have your shirt off for up to 30 minutes a day, or lots of skin exposure up to 30 minutes a day. If they're not even getting that much, then we're toast. I'm in Idaho currently, and there's no way I'm walking outside without a shirt on for 30 minutes. Nor is the sun reflecting properly off of the ozone. So there's a site, I'll have to find it on how you can see where the sun, at what times of day do you need to be outside where you live that the sun will give you the most optimum form of vitamin D. Okay, so I'll get that for you. It's a fun website, and honestly, in the summer when I was living in Nevada, in Las Vegas, where it's very harsh, they said the times you need to be in the sun is between 1 and 3 in the afternoon, and I basically laughed because I'm like, I ain't taking my shirt off between 1 and 3 p.m. You're gonna burn yourself. It's hard. It's hot. It's harsh. It's crazy. So, long story short, it may not be applicable to do that. So take a vitamin D supplement. Okay, the range of vitamin D is 20 to 100 nanograms per deciliter. So if you can get your blood work done, it's a 25 hydroxy test is, I believe, what it's called, a 25 OH hydroxy test, something like that. Okay, that's vitamin D levels. If you're between 20 and 100, good for you. However, we have found that people between 70 and 80 and 100, so 70 and 80 to 100, is the most optimal level to be with vitamin D levels. If you have 70 to 80 to 100, so let's just say 70 to 100, so I don't have to keep saying 70 to 80. 80 to 100 is better, though. But 70 to 100, you have very low chances of autoimmune disease. You have very low metabolic issues with diabetes. So diabetes, weight gain, inflammation, I mean, all sorts of things you don't have. You have the lowest. They basically find that people that have cancer never have levels between 70 and 100. I'll just say that. Okay. So if you had levels between 70 and 100, you could help autoimmunity, cancer, and all sorts of weird things. Okay. That's all I'll say. They recommend the RDA, again, is there to basically keep you above death. So sometimes RDA is not the best, but doctors recommend to take, the average American needs to take between 2,000 and 5,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. Now, I would venture to say most of us could take 5,000 and never have an issue. I take way more than that. No one can prove what overdosing on vitamin D looks like. Go to the research, go to the studies. Okay, I've had a doctor who's taken an incredibly high amount. And I'll do a whole vitamin D class, I promise. I'll tell you how much I take. But I've had a doctor that I follow, a holistic doctor he's in his 80s. He's taken an incredible amount for years. He's taken tons. I mean, more than you most doctors would just go, what the heck? Guy has, now vitamin D, just so you know, shouldn't be called a vitamin. It's what we call a prohormone. Okay, it's a precursor to every hormone our body makes, from everything from testosterone to cortisol to oxytocin to serotonin. So this is another component to that anxiety and depression. It's another component to just being healthy. Okay, optimal health is vitamin D. And basically this 80-year-old gentleman has no erectile dysfunction. An 80-year-old should have. Okay, but vitamin D is helping make his testosterone and his androsterone and his even men have estrogen to an extent, small amount, but we have, and all sorts of other things. This guy's the most base guy. His mood's always stable, so his body's making cortisol correctly. His body's making oxytocin and serotonin correctly. He's never depressed, never anxious. Just a wonderful guy. And so vitamin D, you could probably take more. I'll go into that later. You should probably take 2,000, 5,000 IUs per day. Now, if I were to, vitamin D is right here, and I'm going to get my magnesium. Should be here, but I can't find it real quick. So this is our vitamin D. Basically, it's 5,000 IUs per capsule. Phenomenal. So I would suggest you take 1 to 2 of those each day, morning and night, with meals. There's some vitamin D inside of the multivitamin as well. It's not bad. I would take that easily for 3 to 6 months and then get my blood work done and see kind of where I range. And I can almost guarantee that you're still going to be low in vitamin D. It's crazy. Now, if you don't have a gallbladder, this is a fat-soluble vitamin. It needs that bile from your gallbladder in order to process it correctly. If you don't have a gallbladder, please reach out to me, and I'll give you the answer, and it'll just skyrocket your health like crazy. Most people that I talk to that are starting to have really bad, like it's just additive. It's like something wrong, and the next week there's another thing wrong, and then they go to the doctor, another thing wrong. Typically, they've had a gallbladder removed about 10, 12, 15 years ago, and it takes about that long for vitamin storages to be depleted. It takes about 10 years plus, depending on what lifestyle you live. So I'll give you those answers, and you'll just skyrocket back to health. Metabolic function will return to normal. Weight will return to normal. I mean, just brain, immune system, like just crazy. So vitamin D. Vitamin D, I'll put it right here. So last one I'd like to go through is magnesium. Magnesium is integral. It's key. It's absolutely necessary for over 600 things our body does. It's what we call a coenzyme. It helps with the coenzymatic processes that our body does. So basically, for example, if we introduce a B vitamin into our body, okay, and it's in a non-methylated form. If you don't know what that means, just take my word for it. You put a B vitamin in your body. It needs magnesium to snip it, to be a coenzymatic process to take it to the next level of its absorption. Long story short, if we don't have magnesium, we can't do that, and our body is not absorbing things properly. It's not metabolizing things properly. It's not snipping things properly. Not just bees. I mean, this is 600 to 900 things our body does. Theory is that it does over 1,000 things. And they say about 90% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, okay? If you've got muscle cramps or muscle spasms, okay, like you have an eye twitch or a muscle that just will twitch all day long, typically is a preliminary sign that your body is low in magnesium. If you're having muscle cramping at night or any time of the day after you work out, typically it's a vitamin, it's a magnesium issue. You're low in magnesium. Again, same with that twitching. But once those are optimized, basically cramps go away, all these other things just skyrocket, and it's absolutely necessary for optimal health. So I used to be 3 things. Used to be fish oil and a probiotic, and now I've added 2 things because research is just pointing us that we're just not getting enough vitamin D3, which is the sunshine hormone. I don't know if I said that. I probably alluded to it, but I didn't say it. So vitamin D3 and then magnesium. Now magnesium, again, there's some vetting that goes in this. Make sure you're not getting magnesium oxide. Look at the side of it. Look at the side of the bottle. Make sure it's not magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide is the cheapest form of magnesium on the planet, and it's the least absorbable form into our body. It only absorbs 3%. So if I tell you to get 1,000 milligrams a day of magnesium, and you're taking 1,000 milligrams of magnesium oxide, it means you're only getting 30 milligrams a day. Okay, I told you need 1,000. You're taking a supplement that you're only absorbing 30, therefore you're deficient. And I would dare say if you're deficient, it means that you're overdrawn like a bank account. It's not that you're deficient and lacking. It's that you've used everything and everything more. You're dipping into the negative there. So what it's trying to do, what it typically does is if your body can't get it from somewhere, it's going to break down muscles. Okay, it's going to break down bone. It's going to try to take magnesium out of the body wherever it's stored and put it into the bloodstream because we need it for our coenzymatic processes that it does. So long story short, if you can just replenish these vitamins, and I'm going to go through Raymond Francis's theories on health because they are solid, okay, throughout the next few months, and you're going to die. You're just going to be blown away on how simple health is, okay? So all those things. So magnesium, I'm not, let me see if I can find it real quick. Hold on. Magnesium. There it is. So, magnesium. Magnesium. So make sure you get it. And the magnesium citrate form, just so you know, is also a poorly absorbed form. It only absorbs about 10 to 12%. So make sure you get like a chelated version. So magnesium glycinate, magnesium bisglycinate, magnesium threonate is actually magnesium for the brain. So if you feel like you got... you have magnesium helps the brain calm down at bedtime. So if you have problems with the brain just relaxing at bedtime, and you're taking melatonin, you're taking passion flower, and you're taking L-theanine and chamomile and all these things, take a magnesium L-threonate. Okay, it's a form that majority of it is concentrated and goes to the brain and helps calm that muscle. Imagine your brain spasming like a muscle cramp, but we can't feel it, so it's basically just causing running brain and racing thoughts and things like that. So L-threonate. So again, this is a fantastic form. It is, what I would suggest is to take 3 of these per day. So this is a magnesium, 100 milligrams. So I would venture to say, if you were to take 300 to 500 milligrams of magnesium per day, you'd be solid. You'd be on top. One of my favorite forms is actually a topical spray, which I'll go through in a magnesium class. So I'll go through each one of these. I'll go through a vitamin, multivitamin class, ABCs on how to vet a good multivitamin. I'll go through a fish oil class again. I'll go into this. I'll show you some crazy cool stuff. Probiotics we'll delve back into. I'll show you some of the strains and how you may want to focus your probiotics more specifically for your health. And then a magnesium class and a vitamin D3 class. So you guys, woo-wee! That was crazy. So, I'm done talking. I'm sure it's been 45 minutes minimum. Oh my gosh, it's probably been over an hour. But I'm going to give you the tip, the trick, the strategy for increasing your telomere length. According to research, this study came out, and what's cool is there actually is when looking at acupuncture, acupressure, and things like that, there's some pretty cool. So I'm gonna basically, there's a point on your body that all you need to do is rub it, depress it, press it in, and like rub it for, I don't know, a few minutes a week, few minutes a day, a few days a week, a few weeks per month, right? And basically it's been shown to increase your telomere length, which increases your longevity, your health. So I'm going to show you a picture of where to push. So if you look at the right here, the right picture of the leg, okay, this is what we call the ST36 point. Okay, the ST stands for stomach 36 point. Now, why would it be called the stomach point when it's in the legs? Is because this is a nerve bundle. I'm going to pass it back to me and then I'll explain. Okay, this is where a lot of nerves, it's a bundle of nerves pass through that spot. It's almost like, because our knee, right, our leg bends. So if you think of a wire going through a wall, walls don't bend, right? Walls basically stay fixed so you can have a wire that just goes through. Now, this is a point in our body that actually bends, and so it needs to be flexible. So everything in our body goes through, it basically, everything kind of comes to that point. Sorry, hold on, everything comes to that point, and then it goes through almost like a pathway. It goes through a channel, and then it goes the rest of the way down our body. So let me show you that again. So it comes in right at that ST36 point and then continues up and down our body after passing through. So it's a channel of tons of nerve fibers that go throughout our body. There are a bunch of stomach things. If you know anything about reflexology, basically the theory is that every nerve in our body ends in our feet. This is actually incredibly true and not far. It's true. It's true. That's all I'm going to say. So if you depress it, you just put your thumb in it and you kind of, and it's going to hurt, right? I've been doing it for about 2 months now. So you dig your finger in and you start moving it around and you're like, oh man, that's pretty tight. That's pretty tight. And it hurts. But then as you rub it more and more, then it becomes less and less inflamed, or not inflamed, but less and less tender, I guess. So I've actually used one of those shooting guns, and I shoot it, bounce it and go to the next one. And again, I don't know if it's working. I mean, I feel great. I mean, I look fantastic, right? No, just kidding. But you guys, that is one of the tips and tricks. What does it hurt? Try it. Do it. I mean, it doesn't hurt to do it. And if it increases our longevity by increasing our telomere length, then you got nothing to lose. You guys, that has been an incredibly fast and worthwhile video for optimal health. I wish you guys the best 2024, a good start to it, and we will progress with further knowledge throughout this year, and I hope that you guys exceed every goal and dream, especially when it comes to wellness, that you have. So we'll chat with you next time. Thanks, guys.